This is for Io. Has an epigraph from Rudy Tomjanovich. Someone once told me that hating him would be like drinking poison and hoping someone else would die. The explosion severs the man's right arm at the shoulder. He sees it behind a wire mesh wastebasket in the corner. His coworkers are screaming at him to run. They're 94 flights up. He kneels and reaches out for his arm with the arm he is reaching for and wonders why he can't pick it up. He strains with stump and air and just a little farther, he thinks, and just a little farther, and why is it so fucking hot? And he is feeling lightheaded, and he is a pyrotechnic angel, and he is melting brow into wingtips, and he and his arm flow back into each other on the puddling tiles of the 94th floor. A woman runs from the South Tower. Her skin is flesh lace. Her skin is threshed and grated. She is disappearing one organ at a time, and her heart will go last. Televisions blasted from storefronts. A man of God in a blue suit threatened to hunt and kill a man of God in a turban. I looked around for God to pick them up, drop them in the mouth of a huge mason jar, shake it up, and let them settle their own differences, as men of God will. Every radio station played the newest hit, "The Terrorists Have Already Won." People picked it up as slang in their conversations, like, "You can't touch this." I couldn't help but overhearing in spite of the sirens. "Yo, if we don't watch the NFL this weekend, the terrorists have already won. If you don't quit riding my ass about fixing the damn commode, the terrorists have already won. If you don't take advantage of our 0% APR on the new Ford Expedition, the terrorists have already won. If you don't swallow, the terrorists have already won. If you don't tattoo American flags on your children's foreheads, the terrorists have already won. If you don't shut up, the terrorists have already won. If you don't fuck me, baby, really, the terrorists have already won. If you don't bend over and take it so deep that something important and irreplaceable inside you rends and ruptures beyond repair, the terrorists have already won. I watched the news hundreds of miles from the dust. My heart felt like a mortar shell. I was black and bitter and small, and my heart felt like the rind of a fruit with no fruit inside. I saw emergency workers everywhere, saw reporters, saw heroes, saw in the distant haze on 14th Street a kiosk turned into a processing station where the skins of dead firemen were pulped and processed to print pro-war pamphlets. I saw agents in my dreams, agents sneaking into victims' houses, stealing lipstick of EMT widows and finger paint from NYPD orphans to paint American flags on soot-covered windows. It made me angrier than I've ever been. As if anger was sight and I'd been born blind. Angry, yes, at the delusional fools whose holy jihadic jet-fueled spitballs were as incorrectly aimed as American bombs. But angry also at the men who turned into cowboys to chase evildoers while women and children sifted through the wreckage of lives. Angry enough to forget humans, to forget families, to refuse to acknowledge men in black fire jackets rushing up stairwells while thousands of people were rushing down, to want to grab them by the shoulders and say, "I know what they're going to turn you into. I know what's going to happen in your name." I wanted to stop the bodies falling from the 88th floor, freeze frame them, and beg, "Please wait. Please don't hit until I'm ready to mourn you." I pondered terrible mathematics like, how many dead brown men with consonant-riddled names does it take to pay for one American life? How many American lives does it take to pay for one American life? McDonald's sends our condolences to anyone who lost a loved one, and Coca-Cola expresses our deepest sympathies to Shell Oil shares the grief of General Motors, salutes our brave emergency workers who are dead and charred and strewn about like puzzle pieces, and I don't even care, or I care so much I can't even name it, or I see the 2,800 dead and know how many more are to come, and this isn't just like a movie, this isn't a fucking Jerry Bruckheimer blockbuster, you illiterate diehard patriotic fuckheads, read a book, this is a Greek tragedy, and no one will listen to the chorus or the prophets, and this isn't an assault on freedom. You're thinking of the Patriot Act, and there are people below the street who look like charcoal, and there are innocent citizens locked in Cuba, and I'm in fucking Wisconsin, 900 miles from my family, and this is a fight you don't win with guns, and I don't even know who to talk to anymore, or how to invent the words I need after this to split through gritted teeth, grinding my tongue into the loneliest, most lacerating silence I have ever known, and I watch every speech, and every threat, and every bombing, and you will not tell me how to feel about this. You will not commemorative edition condition me into mourning. You will not make me fear this gorgeous world so much I want other people dead, because if I do, the terrorists have already won, and I will never write a fucking 9/11 poem. And I strapped on resentment and silence like ankle weights, believing miles and miles with them would make me stronger. They didn't. They made me tired. They made me hate movement, made me wonder why my torso was a hollow log, why my eyes were broken looking glasses on New York skyscraper observation decks, why the air around me was still filled with falling bodies I wasn't ready to let land. And Io calls 3 years later, planning to perform at a commemorative poetry reading for 9/11. He didn't know what to read. He's like me. He's allergic. He goes into sneezing fits at false sanctity. I told him to say, I don't know why we're all here doing poems about 911. I made other bad jokes. And I realized sometimes it's not just false sanctity I'm allergic to. Sometimes it's facing things larger than two 100-story towers. Sometimes it's realizing that no matter what a person's death is used for, it's still a person that died. So tell them this, Io. Tell them I let the bodies land after 3 years. Tell them what I heard. That there is a certain sound a human body makes when it falls 80 stories, strikes concrete, and spreads itself out like the worst kind of truth. Tell them the sound is one that is unique, that you'll never forget it, that if you ever hear it yourself, it won't make you want to kill anyone. It'll make you want to call your parents, hug your wife, write your friends, dance awkwardly to James Brown songs, dodge between raindrops, eat warm biscuits, drive far too fast, bite your fingernails, sing all of Plastic Ono Band, stub your thumb, smell skunks on southern back roads at sundown, lie awake under homemade quilts, anything to know you're alive. Tell them you've never written a 9/11 poem and you never will, that you write poems about people, not dates or numbers. Tell them there was a moment in our young world's recent history when a person reached up from twisted steel and fire, when their desperate arm found another arm reaching down, when that arm pulled them into muted sunlight and they gasped and cried and were born. And in that moment, this world, this fractured, damaged world, was never more beautiful.